Sure. We talk about the economy now and again, and as we were having a discussion about current conditions, about what the Fed's doing and what the fiscal authorities, the Congress, particularly Senate Republicans, are not doing, we thought we should write something about that. Really, what we wanted to get at was this idea that it's not just monetary or fiscal policy alone that are so necessary at a time like this. You really need the 1-2 punch. One of the things we said in the piece is that it's as if by holding credit rates so low and making sure that credit markets are flowing freely, the Fed kind of sets the table. But to get the diners to come into the restaurant, there you need fiscal policy to complete the deal.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Fed has done so much to provide liquidity this year. They've launched a number of different programs. You know, while Congress did PPP, I wonder if the Fed's success has made it less likely that Congress will follow up with anything else.
That is a risk. And, you know, one of the things that I think is very important right now is to listen to another Fed chair, Jay Powell, who's going to Congress every time he gets a chance and saying, we really need fiscal support to help really boost the impact of what we're doing. And one of the things that Chair Yellen and I remembered was that this is precisely the same thing that Ben Bernanke was saying at the beginning of the last expansion, which was also weaker than it should have been because the fiscal push just wasn't enough. Now, to be very clear, of course, Congress has done a significant amount thus far. But as you just pointed out, about a month ago, they dropped the ball. And the way I think of it, it's as if we're trying to build a fiscal bridge to the other side of the crisis, and Congress just stopped the construction way too early. And when I say Congress, I really am talking about the Senate Republicans who just have been so recalcitrant about closing this deal.
Well, let's not go there, because you know what they would say? They would say that it's the Democrats who've been recalcitrant. And so,
well, the Democrats actually passed a bill.
Yeah,
right?
a very large one, yes. And the economy has recovered more quickly. I think there's legitimate questions about the best way to structure this going forward.
No, if you're saying there's room for compromise, you're right, and I agree.
Right, but there's no way that the two sides are ever going to agree until kind of that final deadline and push really comes to shove. So that was kind of going to be my final question to you, which is, and we talked to Greg Ip about this yesterday, but this idea of mission creep at the Fed, you know, because politics is hard and people disagree, they go, we'll just let the Fed take care of it. And that's been true for a lot of things lately with the pandemic, but it's even true of the Fed's mission going forward. You know, they're supposed to solve racial inequality and wealth inequality and address climate change and, you know, take all of these things into account. And frankly, under a Biden administration, one of the campaign goals is to make sure that the Fed takes those things into account as a policy. So is that just giving more of the people's power to the Fed?
Not really. I actually don't think that's an accurate way to describe some of the ideas, some of what people are talking about maybe. But for the most part, what a lot of us are talking about when we're talking about the Fed and racial equality, for example, is basically to keep doing not only what they're doing, but what they committed to doing yesterday. And that is to be data-driven in terms of inflation, not driven by estimates of a natural rate that have long been biased up at great expense to communities of color. So this is no new mandate. The mandate isn't full employment, price stability, and something else. It's making sure that the full employment part of the mandate gets appropriately weighted. And I think that's actually a very good interpretation of which Jay Powell, to his tremendous credit, announced yesterday.